everybody. Glad to be with you again this week. I wanted to talk with you about a series of meetings coming up that are being organized by grassroots people right across the city to stop the Ford agenda, to create a people's declaration of what we want for our city and that we want to take to City Hall in time to stop this agenda of cuts and cutbacks to services. We've been talking about that over the past couple of weeks, and I'm sure you've seen some of the information over on Facebook and through your email, but I wanted to tell you more about it. This Saturday, September 10th, from noon till 5 p.m. at Dufferin Grove Park, there is a mass meeting. We're expecting hundreds, if not thousands, of people to come to Dufferin Grove Park to meet from neighborhoods right across the city. All through the summer, people have been meeting and organizing in neighborhoods in Parkdale, at Davenport Perth, up at Jane Finch, out in Scarborough, out in the West End, in the Dundas and Sherburne neighborhood, and many other neighborhoods. People have been meeting, organizing, marching, taking deputations to City Hall. You'll remember the mass deputation by over 160 people in the middle of the summer. So people are really engaged in this fight to stop the right-wing agenda, the millionaire Ford brothers agenda of imposing cuts on our services, cuts to programs, cuts to the things we need here in Toronto, cuts that will affect the poorest members of Toronto, the poorest residents, more than anyone else. At the same time, the Ford brothers and their right-wing allies on City Council are back to the days of backroom deals. They're meeting privately with rich corporations from Australia, from other countries, and talking with them about selling off Toronto Portlands, selling off other valuable sites in Toronto, selling off programs and services, privatizing, contracting out. This is an agenda that's going to hurt the people of Toronto. It's going to hurt taxpayers, it's going to hurt residents, it's going to hurt public sector workers, it's going to hurt women, it's going to hurt queer and trans people, going to hurt homeless people, marginalized people all over the city. So this is something that people have been meeting all summer and organizing all summer to stop. And all of that is culminating in the weeks ahead in Toronto in September. So I'd like to tell you about those events. So as I say, on the 10th, on Saturday afternoon, hundreds of people are going to be coming together at Dufferin Grove Park for a mass meeting, a people's meeting, where we hope to hammer out democratically at a grassroots level, hammer out a people's declaration for what we want. The demands of the Toronto Stop the Cuts network will be featured. Those demands include more services, not less. We want an expansion of services. We want to stop the cuts. We want to stop any handouts to the police and corporations, just like we've seen happening in the paper and hearing about on the radio. The police budget, close to $1 billion now, is part of the reason why we are in the mess that we are in, the insistence on continuing to pay police more than almost any police force in the world receives for service that most of us would certainly see as definitely not worth the highest pay in the world. And we need to cut that budget. We don't need more police. We don't need fear-mongering about crime. So when we come together on Saturday afternoon, we're going to talk in groups about the cuts, about the services, about the things that we want for our city. There will be groups talking about the need for subsidized childcare. There will be groups talking about the need for services such as HIV/AIDS services, women's services, many other services. We're going to talk about the need for libraries. We're going to talk about the need for expanded parks and recreation and free access to services for people who can't afford them, and all those kinds of topics. So we're going to get together, we're going to talk, and at the end of the day we're going to have a people's declaration, and we're going to have an action plan for how to make that declaration a reality. So I invite you to join us. There's going to be ASL and English translation. Some of the groups will be available in Spanish, so we'll have Spanish translation. We'll have childcare available on site, and there are TTC tokens available. Also, we start off with a big lunch, so everybody can be meeting and talking on a full stomach. So I invite you to join us. It's going to be a great event. And following that, We have a couple of really important meetings coming up at City Hall that we want to get people out to do deputations and also to demonstrate that the people of Toronto do care about this city and do care about having adequate services, more than adequate in fact, enhanced services and a livable city for all. On September 19th, the powerful executive committee meets all day, and they're going to be talking about and recommending cuts to services based on the flawed KPMG report. So on the 19th, I want to invite you to visit the onetoronto.ca website to hear about the Breakfast of Toronto Champions. It's at the Holy Trinity Church, which is at 10 Trinity Square, just behind the Eaton Centre. It's from 7:30 to 9 a.m., so it's a wonderful breakfast that is being provided at the church. And from there, the people that attend the breakfast are going to walk to City Hall. It's a very short walk across Bay Street. And they're going to walk to City Hall and go into City Hall chambers to depute to the executive committee and to let Rob Ford, Doug Ford, Denzel Minin Wong, Giorgio Mamalidi, Mike Del Grande, and all the rest of the councillors on the executive committee know what we think about their plans to cut the heart out of Toronto. At the same time that morning, Women Against the Cuts Network, newly formed, made up of women who work in women's services, in programs like the Assaulted Women's Program at Georgetown College, where I work, at the Toronto Women's City Alliance, many other groups, are going to be gathering at City Hall, and we have an action plan for that morning. And it's an action to air the city's dirty laundry. We are consulting with women who use women's services around the city and asking them to send a message to City Hall about what cuts to those services, cuts to childcare, and the other proposed cuts will mean in the lives of women and their children. So we're going to air that dirty laundry outside City Hall, and we may even take that dirty laundry inside City Hall. So I invite you to join us that morning. It'll be at Nathan Phillips Square, right in front of the City Hall front doors. The Women Stop the Cuts Network are going to have a little activism, a little action that day in preparation for the executive committee. And then another big day, September 26th, September 27th, that's when City Council as a whole will be voting on the recommendations of the Executive Committee. And that will be another chance, and one of the last chances for us as residents and members of the Toronto community to come forward and to let City Council know what we think about these attempts to sell off our city to private developers and attempts to enrich corporations, transnational corporations, at the expense of the poorest people of Toronto, particularly women and marginalized people. So on the 26th, there's a huge rally. It's from 5:30 till about 7:30, I believe, again at Nathan Phillips Square. That's where the action is going to be. And I invite you to join us. There's going to be a flash mob. We're going to put some information up on the screen about where you can see a fantastic video about the Rally for Respect, Rally for Toronto. It's a video with a wonderful song, and shows you the dance that we'll be doing at 5:30 on the 26th. That's a flash mob at City Hall. It's also a chance for you to find out more about just what kinds of cuts are being considered. So a busy September. I encourage everybody to make it your business to come out this Saturday afternoon to Dufferin Grove Park, to come out on September 19th in the morning to the Breakfast of Toronto Champions, and then again to City Hall, and to join the Women Against the Cuts Network and many others as we make our point to the Executive Committee and let them know how strongly people of Toronto feel about these proposals. And then again on the 26th in the evening, and on the 27th when people will be making deputations to City Council. It's really important for you to talk to your local city councillor about how you feel, especially if you live in some of those wards where some of the more right-wing councillors are operating, and some of those councillors who have supported the Ford millionaire brothers up till now but could possibly be swayed. Give them a call. You can find out their contact information at www.toronto.ca. They want to hear from residents. You can write them an email. You can give them a call. You can even ask to drop in and visit them and talk about these proposed cuts. So I encourage you to do so. The more that they propose to ruin our city, the more important it is for us to fight back. And we have the power, the grassroots power. We have the support of the majority of the people of Toronto. Rob Ford's popularity has gone through the floor since he was elected. A lot of people were fooled by his promises of no cuts to services, his promises to find all sorts of gravy. Those people are now waking up to the facts. We need more services in Toronto. We don't need more police officers. We don't need more corporate bankrolling and tax cuts to corporations. And so we've got to get out there and say so. Thanks a lot. I'll see you out there.